Force ghosts have become a key part of the galaxy. The power for the Force user to gain immortality through the preservation of their own consciousness after death. This was done through special training, allowing the user to retain their identity and communicate with the living. By achieving spiritual immortality, their physical form would vanish upon their death. However, in canon, this knowledge can only be learned by those who fully embrace the light side of the Force. In Legends, there were ways for the Sith to learn a form of this, but in canon, they were incapable of learning the power. In today's episode, I'm going to go into how a Force user can achieve this ability. So sit back, relax, and grab some milk with a carrot. Welcome to Star Wars Timelines. The first known Jedi to go on this journey was Qui-Gon Jinn. Jinn began to discover secrets that one could manifest his consciousness after death. He traveled to a planet strong in the Force, a world that legend said was the birthplace of life and the origin of midichlorians. The planet was known only as the wellspring of life. There, he met 5 Force priestesses who had learned the power to retain their own consciousness after death. He learned that when a living thing died, its life passed through the living force and into the cosmic force, becoming one with the Force. Since the living and the cosmic force existed together, it became possible to retain one's identity and physically manifest themselves after death. The Shaman of the Wills told Jinn that the secret of eternal life required absolute selflessness. The 5 considered Jinn worthy of this power and eternal life and secretly began his training. However, Jinn was unable to complete his training and was killed by Darth Maul on Naboo. Though what he had learned was enough to speak his voice, he wasn't able to physically manifest himself. He reached out several times prior and during the Clone Wars to several Jedi. He was able to manifest himself on one world, Mortis. The world was so strong in the Force that Jinn was able to summon the power to do this. He spoke to both Obi-Wan and Anakin, but both of them believed Jinn just to be a mind trick played by the Son. A quick reminder guys, if possible please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really means a lot to me and helps me continue to make content like this. If you also have any ideas for lore videos or theories or reviews or any upcoming comics that you might like me to have a look at, please comment them in the comments down below. I'm always open to any suggestions. Again, they can literally be as wild as you want. Like I'll literally do a lore video on what happened to Jar Jar Binks after Revenge of the Sith. He became a bit of a clown. I mean, he was a clown before, but now he's more of a clown. I'll save that for the video. Comment down below if you want me to do that or something. Anyways, on to the video. Towards the end of the war, Yoda began to hear the voice of Qui-Gon. At first, Yoda thought he was hearing things, until Qui-Gon demonstrated his presence by levitating Yoda. Yoda was left confused and distressed by the encounter. When he told the council, they meditated for an entire day, but none of the other council members sensed anything. Some expressed worry that Yoda was being manipulated by the Sith. Yoda was tested, but all that revealed was that he was in good health. The doctor suggested that Yoda undergo a ritual that allowed him to meditate more strongly and find the source of the voice. Yoda was suspended in a liquid tank, taking him as close to death as possible without actually dying. During the ritual, Qui-Gon's voice reached down and told Yoda to travel to Dagobah and tell no one. Yoda did so shortly after this with the help of Anakin and R2-D2. He didn't tell Anakin where he was going, nor anyone else, but R2 went with him. After landing on Dagobah, Qui-Gon's voice greeted him. Yoda asked why he could not see Qui-Gon, which is when Qui-Gon explained that he never completed his training, so this was impossible on this planet. Qui-Gon guided Yoda to a cave strong on the dark side, which is where it showed him a vision of Order 66, Darth Sidious, and everything else that there was to come. However, the vision was clouded, thus Yoda could not actually see the clones executing Order 66, nor who Sidious was. All he saw was the black shadowy figure of Sidious, and the Jedi being struck down by something. Qui-Gon went on to explain to Yoda that he would help bring hope to the future and directed him to the same planet that he went to years ago, explaining that the future was always in motion and this wasn't the set future yet. Arriving on the planet, Yoda met the 5 that Qui-Gon met. They agreed to teach Yoda to achieve life after death. During his first test, Yoda confronted a manifestation of his own dark side. He conquered the dark side and moved on. The next task was he witnessed a vision of the Jedi massacred in the temple, even a dying Ahsoka, asking if she would still become one with the Force after the Jedi expelled her. This vision was a manifestation of Yoda's guilt, over having placed Yoda on the path that led her to leaving. Yoda was then taken to a peaceful courtyard to escape these painful events. However, the vision was intended to tempt Yoda, who discovered this after seeing Qui-Gon, Dooku, and other Jedi alive and fully in the light side. Yoda overcame its temptation and his attachment to those who had fallen, completing the tasks. Having conquered these tasks, Yoda was instructed to venture to Moraband, formerly known as Korriban, ancient homeworld of the Sith. Yoda and R2 travelled to the ancient Valley of the Dark Lords, where the Sith Lords of old were buried. Recognizing the danger of being on the planet, Yoda instructed R2 to fly back to the temple and inform the Council of where he was if he did not return within 3 nights. Yoda then travelled to the ancient Sith temple, where he was ambushed by undead Sith. The undead Sith used the Force to communicate with Sidious and Dooku, and told them Yoda was on Moraband. As Yoda continued, he was even confronted by the spectre of Darth Bane, who Yoda simply brushed off and continued, because he's Master freaking Yoda, and he can do that. Yeah, take that, Darth Bane. Ghost thing. After discovering Yoda on Moraband, Sidious planned to reach out to Yoda and crush his spirit, using Dooku and Yoda's Force bond that they had from when Dooku was Yoda's Padawan. Sidious first appeared in the form of Sifo Dyas, tempting Yoda with knowledge. After Yoda refused, he had Yoda wake up in a Republic gunship with Anakin, Captain Rex, and the 501st Legion en route to the industrial sector on Coruscant to terminate the Sith. As they arrived, Captain Rex and the clones led the charge but were knocked down by Sith lightning. Anakin engaged and killed Dooku, and then Anakin and Yoda together pursued Sidious. Sidious knocked Anakin out and dueled with Yoda. However, Sidious damaged the catwalk, which began to collapse. Yoda jumped to safety, but Anakin, still knocked out, began to fall. Yoda caught him with the Force, but Sidious tempted Yoda by suggesting he sacrifices Anakin to defeat him. Yoda ignored Sidious and ensured Anakin's safety. The catwalk then collapsed and Yoda fell. Sidious and Dooku had failed, and Yoda awoke from his vision. The incident proved Yoda's selflessness and was greeted by the priestesses, who explained Qui-Gon would now finish off Yoda's training. Yoda eventually finished his training and instructed Qui-Gon to also teach to Obi-Wan after the Purge. Obi-Wan communed with Qui-Gon during his time on Tatooine and also learned the ability from him. Yoda became one with the Force and a Force spirit just before the Battle of Endor. After Anakin killed Sidious, Yoda reached out to Anakin as he was dying and gave Anakin the ability to also manifest himself after death. In Legends, the origins of that knowledge, as well as his history, are not known. Ancient Jedi of the Galactic Republic, such as Arca Jeff, as well as Sith Lords, knew a secret which could enable the user's essence to survive death, but this knowledge was somehow lost over the millennia. However, it was secretly preserved over the millennia by the native Yasana, descendants of Jedi trapped on the world and slowly driven to barbarism. However, it was rediscovered by Qui-Gon Jinn years later. Certain Sith Lords had also discovered similar techniques. Occasionally, their bodies would fade as Jedi would, though like Jedi, this was not prerequisite for becoming a Force ghost. It was not uncommon for spirits of the Sith Lord to remain bound to the living world, but normally through an object, location, or simply due to the force of their malice and hatred. Unlike the Jedi, however, the Sith found little peace in this form, instead existing for restless centuries, eventually driven insane by solitude, memories, or dark side inflicted madness. In many ways, these techniques differed from those taught by the Jedi, the most distinct difference being the user's limited ability to interact with his surroundings. One Sith to show this in particular was Exar Kun, who became bound to Yavin 4 after being trapped there by Jedi years before the rise of the Galactic Empire. Notable Sith, such as Darth Vader and Darth Bane, feared their own mortality rather than embracing it and becoming ghosts of the Force, such as their Jedi counterparts. Due to this fact, they sought ways to prevent death and live on indefinitely. Though there was much speculation, Bane's body did not disappear and become one with the Force when he died. His soul was absorbed into his apprentice's body and dominated by her soul, leaving behind only a trace of his soul. In this case and many others, the Sith lived on only in the small essences of their souls that they embedded into their Sith holocrons. Whereas the many Jedi who believed that there was no death, only the Force, lived on forever through the acceptance of their death. The Sith believed that the Force would free them and break their chains that bound them to their mortal coil. So this is how a Jedi becomes a ghost, a series of tasks and training. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you always.